April.
Come in.
I'd like to call to order the Westmont Village Board meeting of August 29, 2019, to order at 6 o'clock p.m. And we've got our deputy clerk, Alicia Richards, to call roll.
Trustee Addington.
Here.
Trustee Barker.
Here.
Trustee Barry.
Here.
Trustee Guzzo is absent. Trustee Little.
Here.
Trustee Nero.
Here.
Mayor.
I'm here.
Is here. Clerk Simsky is absent. Attorney Zemanek.
Here.
Manager May.
Here.
Finance Director Parker.
Here.
Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone, and in Clerk Simsky's absence, I tell everybody, turn off your TV and get outside for the last car show tonight.
That's right.
We'll move on to open forum. This is an opportunity for anybody that wants to address the board for anything that's not on the agenda. Seeing no one, I don't have anything, we'll close open forum, move on to reports. Under my report, this morning, Miller School brought 45 students from fourth grade. We ran a mock board meeting for them, and I want to thank staff because they did a super job. And they elect 6 of them for trustees. So they had to make motions once we kept telling them, someone's got to make that motion. But they wanted, we had one of our staff want to put an ice cream shop next to the school. Another one wanted to mandate that the village had to have 2 pets per household. So they did a good job. But
I
so
like it. That's good.
that was this morning.
Well, what was the vote?
They voted
They
against
discussed it? And
Yeah, they discussed it, and they all said no. So tomorrow morning, August 30th, 10 a.m., the entire community is invited to join Representative Sean Caston at the Westmont Post Office for their dedication ceremony to James Robinson, who was a former Westmont resident who made the ultimate sacrifice for his country in the Vietnam War and received the Congressional Medal of Honor. And again, this is rare for the post office to name their post office, and this is come to be because of the American Legion and specifically Frank Trout and Hal Burke. They followed this and they got representative to rename the post office. And then James Robinson's grandfather was mayor twice in the community. Jim, were you on the trustee then?
Not quite. He was right before me.
So, and this weekend, do I have anybody else? Holy Trinity is having their Holy Trinity Fest. Oh, it's down. Someone else is going to say that. All right. I'll let Trustee Little say that. That's all I have. I'll go to our deputy clerk.
Thank you. Village offices will be closed on Labor Day, Monday, September 2nd.
Thank you. Trustee Barker.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things this evening. First of all, Westmont First is assisting the village with the census, as you know, and we have set up a meeting for training in September, and that's part of a complete count committee. And we had a good meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the importance of having everybody counted and the value of that to the community. So, our role in that is getting the word out to everybody that's, very important to the community, that they stand up and be counted. It has nothing to do with, documentation or whatever, but just count the people in the household and report the census information correctly. And we're looking forward to helping with that. And then we also have tonight another arts initiative. It's the last artist exhibit at the Artist Block Gallery there. And because of my schedule, I was hoping to actually show my paintings this evening. They've been under wraps and in mothballs for years now, but I do have some new paintings. But I wasn't able to do that, so I hope that this initiative lasts long enough so I can do this next year. And then I'll have you out and we'll have wine and cheese and I'll show you some really good artwork. But I'm excited about that, and that was just a great thing to add to the street fair on Thursday night. And there's a lot of people who work real hard on that from the staff, and we're grateful for that. The Environmental Improvement Committee will meet on September 9th at the library. And they're also, the group is out at the street fair this evening, and they're, again, promoting Richmond Gardens. And you can see the picture there of a rain barrel painted by Jenny, another, talented piece of art that she has done for us. And then we've received, actually, the blessing of Clarendon Hills to have that rain barrel in Richmond Gardens once we have a structure over there where we can capture the rainwater. So we're putting environmental things to work, and that Richmond Gardens is taking shape now with, again, a lot of staff work here on behalf of Westmont, and people are looking forward to it. We can tell you, the word on the street is, when's it gonna be done?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And we have, lastly, something that we want to promote, and that's through Mr. Yater, our arborist, and we're promoting this native tree and shrub sale. That's available, the information's available on the village website. He does that through the county, and we're happy to get some native species here and, turn the town green. So I want to thank, actually, John Yater does a phenomenal job for us. And he really is instrumental in that Environmental Improvement Committee. So that's all.
That's
Thank
good to
you.
hear, and I want to give you the opportunity 2 weeks from now at a meeting to show your artwork here. Go on to Trustee Little.
Wouldn't that be something, huh?
I cut
Thank you,
you
Mayor.
off.
I do have a few items. The next Administration and Finance Committee meeting will be held September the 12th at 4:30 right here at Village Hall. Everyone's invited to come out and attend that. As the mayor's already told you, stole my thunder, the very last cruise night is tonight. So turn the TV off, get out there and enjoy it. They actually held the rain off for us tonight, so it's gonna be a special night. Last one of the season, and it's a great wrap-up. And there's a lot of activities and a lot of things going on down there, as Trustee Barker mentioned, the art fair and everything. So please come on out and see it. This weekend, Holy Trinity Parish Festival is going to be going on from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. They have a carnival, they have craft show, bingo, so they're looking to raise money for their new parish building, so please come out and support Holy Trinity. The TW Craft Beer Fest will be held September 7th. It's a Saturday. It's from 2 to 6:30 p.m. It's a benefit for People's Resource Center and also Hinsdale Wellness House. It's out in the Ty Warner Park, and it's just awesome. The Pet Promenade has been rescheduled to September 22nd from 11 to 2 at Ty Warner Park. We have contests, vendors, demonstrations, and a whole lot more, so please come out for that one. As you know, our last event was rained out, and we had to put it to a new date where we could expect better weather, so that's awesome. The Lions Club Oktoberfest 5K, Running for the Cause. We have it coming, do you know which date? Is it the 4th or the 5th, do you know? Okay. They have food, music, car show, craft show, art show, and a health fair. So please come out and visit the Lions Oktoberfest. That's going to be a lot of fun, October 4th and 5th. And then the Wicked West Fest, it's right around the corner. So don't forget to come out for that one, obviously. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Trustee Nero.
Thank you, Mayor. It's crazy, it's been a year since we've smashed pumpkins, but it sounds like another fun, exciting event. Just a few updates. Our next Public Works Committee meeting is September 26th, 4:30, right here at Village Hall. And I just want to recap, we had a pretty big groundbreaking ceremony, although today was one. Last week, we had one for our Public Works facility. Well-attended, good work to Mike and all the Public Works team for putting together a good event. The mayor kicked it off. Deanne Mizaki was there, a representative, and I know work has already started, so we're excited to see that project progress. And then the last thing I just wanted to highlight and thank the Trilla family, who own a few businesses here in town. And I'm not sure if the police chief is aware of this or not, but between all three businesses, they donated $3,000, and then they raised money at each location, an additional $1,315 for a total of $4,300 and change for the Special Olympics. And that's just, speaks volume for the type of businesses they run and the type of people they are. So, Chief, if you didn't know, they contribute a nice big check to the Special Olympics. And that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move over to this side for Trustee Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Currently, the Rotary Club is selling ads in a community calendar. It's going to hopefully be a resource book and also a calendar for all residents. It's going to be delivered to every mailing address in the community. If your business or organization is interested in being a sponsor, please contact the Westmont Rotary. After a little bit of a hiatus, we have an Economic Development Committee meeting. Next meeting will be September 4th, this Wednesday at 9 a.m. at the Village Hall. We meet right next door here, and we have a full agenda, so we encourage everyone to participate and come join us. And then tonight, we had a super exciting pre-demolition ceremony at the Quincy Station at Cass and Quincy. I know we have Drew Holliday with us today, and he can explain the project and give us some of the highlights much better than I can, I'm sure. Drew, welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Barry. It is really great to see this group of people. I've been in front of you before, but it's been some time. We've been busy working on the project, Quincy Station. We've got some renderings here, which are still representative of the project. And, just a quick update on where we're at. We're in for demolition permit right now. We expect to see some real significant activity on the site probably in the next 30 days. We're really dealing with the utility companies right now. There's an alley that we worked with Attorney Zemenak on vacating. There's utilities inside of that. So we're sort of at the whims of their ability to execute this vacation, so they're out of there. And identify, an alternative path to engineer around that. But we're getting pretty close. We proceeded with our construction drawings. We expect to be in for full building permit probably in the next 60 days. And our goal is to really break ground in early 2020. We'll have an 18-month construction cycle as part of this project. So we're anticipating delivery in the fall of 2021. I really appreciate the efforts of the various people in putting together this pre-demolition ceremony. It's an unusual type of ceremony. I mean, typically we start off with a groundbreaking. However, I think just because of this location at the proverbial Main in Westmont, I welcomed the opportunity. I'd like to thank Larry Forsberg and the village staff for giving us that chance. So you'll start to see more activity. And this is a project that I personally am deeply invested in from a time standpoint, and we can't wait to get going. So thank you so much for giving me the chance to come in and see you guys again, and we're going to do our best to make you very proud with this project. So thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Drew. I think you can see Drew's excitement. I know from the first time we met him, that's what you have brought to the table, and we're excited about this project, and we knew when you were coming that this was so many of them we see that don't really come to projects. We had a great feeling, and so it's great to see you here today. So.
Well, thank you. This one's happening, and I saw community excitement in the sledgehammer swings, too. So it was terrific. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Trustee Addington.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things this evening. First one is, Steve, do we need to send a letter to the village for Candy Day, which will be October 18th and 19th? Do we give you a notice of the days we'll
Do
be
that
working?
directly with the clerk's office.
Right to the clerk's office, okay. So we don't need to take any action,
And by we, you mean,
the board.
yeah, but who has Candy Day?
What's that?
Who's hosting Candy Day?
That's Lions Club.
Okay.
So solicitation on the streets?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just need to get a permit from the clerk's office.
Okay. And then the other thing is community development will be meeting again, looks like October the 10th, and we'll keep everybody informed. There's a whole bunch of things that'll be under discussion there. Some of it has to do with trying to restrict or maybe even eliminate storage containers, maintenance of parkways in the residential areas. And, you know, again, we talk sometimes about some of the areas along the street where the grass gets cut, but not that area, like between the sidewalk and the street. So again, we want to work on that. The recreational marijuana, which we'll talk about even more when we get into mayors and managers, but again, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of projects. I think I saw that they completed the roof the other day on the natatorium, and so a lot of things are moving, a lot of real positive projects. So that's done. Last Thursday night at Cruisin' Nights, the Lions Club hosted both their hearing bus and the diabetic retinopathy bus. Folks who went and got their eyes test or eyes screened, those pictures of those eyes go down to an ophthalmologist at the Lions Elvina Eye Research Institute. They'll be examined and people will be informed if they saw anything. But the folks who go through the hearing bus, historically, the last several years now, we've referred between 20 and 25% of the people that have gone through the hearing bus, telling them that they should go to an audiologist and just have things checked out professionally. So I think it really does some good. It's a freebie, and we're real pleased, the Lions are real pleased with the fact that it's something we can offer to the community, and the community takes part in it. And I think over the last 3 or 4 years now that we've had this screening bus, we've probably referred 25 or 35 people to get further testing. So it's done some good. So again, I thank everyone, and of course the Lions, for that. And then the last thing I have is Tuesday, we had DuPage Mayors and Managers Legislative Committee meeting. Couple of really high points from that. The first one is that earlier this month, Governor Pritzker signed into public law the bill that we have pushed and sponsored and worked on. When I say we, mayors and managers, but also this community, very hard to get part of the money in hotel motel tax to be used for capital improvements and economic development. That bill's now signed, so 25% of the hotel motel tax money can now be used for economic development purposes and or capital improvements. That's a biggie. And we had a lot of pushback over the last several years from some legislators. This time it passed. It passed last year and got vetoed. This year, the governor signed it. So that was probably the biggest thing. The other is that there is going to be 2 veto sessions. There's 2 weeks. One is going to be at the end of October and the other one in November this year. And what they're expecting is that they're hearing that there's going to be a lot of cleanup language with regard to the new marijuana or recreational marijuana law. So they're anticipating a lot of activity in the veto session on that. We'll just stay on top of it and try to keep everybody informed as we know more. What we know now is that they did approve 75 new dispensaries. And any community that wants to can opt out of having a location to sell or opt into having a location, they do yes or no on location. The law, when it takes effect, you cannot, for instance, I know some of the mayors in a couple of other communities had expressed the fact that they were looking for a way to stop it from even being allowed in their community. And that's not going to happen unless some of these cleanup bills change that language. And so that's been signed. It's in the works. I think it takes effect January 1st?
January 1.
January 1. So again, there'll be more on that. The other thing is that I talked with Mayor Trilla again about what's going on with the place in Willowbrook called Synergetics. He said the next big issue with that is going to be the court date. Everything else is kind of on hold until they see what happens there. So again, he'll keep us informed. We'll stay on top of it, and we'll try to keep all of you informed as we hear more about that. The last big thing, there'll be a coffee break on October 18th. I'm sure that will be again at the manager's office. I'll try to get to that, and I think we're going to do that at 10 o'clock in the morning, but again, we'll let everybody know. The last thing is, and this is I think an important question, and will probably come up, Steve, at the Board of Directors meeting. Last year, the staff reviewed over 1,900 bills that somehow they felt might affect municipalities. Of those 1,900 bills, we took a position, almost 700 of them, either opposed or supported. The question is, many of those bills had nothing to do with the initiative that we had, as a legislative committee, had passed on to the Board of Directors that was approved for last year. Now we're working on this year, and the question is, do we want them to keep reviewing that many bills? They say they can do it, they say they have the time, but the question is, should they be devoting their time more towards those bills that are part of our initiative, our main focus, or should they continue doing the way they're doing it? My own personal opinion is I think they should just continue the way they're doing, because you never know if somebody's going to sneak something in there that none of us are aware of. But again, you'll probably talk about that more at Board of Directors meeting, and there'll be more on that. We are working on the new legislative program and new initiative for 2020. And of course, one of the things we don't have to have on there this time is the hotel motel tax. So I think, talking to Matt O'Shea, who's our lobbyist in Springfield for mayors and managers, he felt that this last legislative session was one of the best for municipalities in the last several years, as far as things that we were opposed that didn't get passed, or things that we wanted that we got passed. So he thought it was a pretty good year, and I'm hoping that that will continue on. If for nothing else, it was a good year just because there's finally a balanced budget, although it was also reported Tuesday morning that there is still on the state books $6 billion in unpaid bills. Now that's down from, what was it, 11 or 12, or I forget what the number was, but it's still a lot of money. I mean, $6 billion is a whole bunch of unpaid bills, folks, and they're still working on how they're going to pay for that. So, but it's moving, and I think it's moving in a more positive direction. And that's it, sir.
Well,
Thank you very much.
And again, Trustee Addington serving on that committee to represent Westmont so that we stay current with any bills. Trustee Guzzo is not here tonight, but she wanted the announcement that the Public Safety Committee next meeting is November 21st, 4:30, right here. And I'm going to call up Chief Riley. I think there's a couple events. I understand 9/11 and then the open house.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. As you know, September 11th is fast approaching. There will be a 9/11 ceremony on Wednesday night, September 11th, at the Police Fire Head Station at 500 North Cass, starting at 6:30 p.m. All the public is invited to attend, and this will be the 18th year for the 9/11 ceremony. And then the other thing is the fire department is having its annual fire prevention open house. Will be on Saturday, October 12th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at our headquarters station at 6015 South Cass. We're going to be having hot dogs, hamburgers, chips for the public. There will be demonstrations, games, bounce houses, and a lot more fun. So we hope to have your families come out and enjoy the closing of fire prevention. And Mayor, if I could, while I'm just here, the silent parade is also that week of closing out fire prevention, and that is set for Friday night, October 11th. That'll start in Hinsdale at dusk. We'll run along Chicago Avenue, Naperville Road, Maple Avenue, through Clarendon Hills, Westmont, Downers Grove, into Lyle, and then go south on Route 53 to the Trinity Parish that's there for a brief ceremony and some refreshments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Police Department, do you have anything, Chief? Sure.
We are now under a month away from the start of our Citizens Police Academy, which starts on September 25th, runs through December 4th. Those are Wednesday nights, usually start at 6 o'clock. And I think at last count, we were over 22 people that have signed up already, which is really good. Usually we have like the mad rush the last week to get applications in, but we're ahead of schedule on that. We'll probably cap out the class at 30 to 35 people. So there are still a few spots open for that. We have, as Trustee Nero touched on, we raised a considerable amount of money at the car wash fundraiser for, and thanking Mr. Trilla and his generosity for the businesses that he owns in town. I think all told, we are well north of $20,000 for Special Olympics, which is amazing because just 3 years ago, we were hovering around $5,000 for 3 years in a row. So, you know, it's a testament to the dedication of the officers that run the programs, the community that comes together to support them, all the volunteers. It's absolutely, you know, we always come up with new innovative ways of raising money throughout the year. So my hat's off to all of them. And then on the Stuff a Squad Car fundraiser, which we had down at Mariano's, we had, and this is not a quantitative analysis, but I talked to Sergeant Gabrielski about how we did on that. He said, to paraphrase, we had less bags, but they were heavier than last year. So that's all I know.
It's a good thing.
And they moved the proceeds from Mariano's up to the People's Resource Center. So it was another successful event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, while you're up there, you know, I noticed you said 3 years ago is when it really turned around for the Special Olympics. And how long have you been chief now? Is that, are they corresponding? Is that kind of what happened? Is that what I'm picking up on? Is that?
My anniversary date's next month.
Oh, okay, all right. I was just making sure of that.
Thank you.
It's a good point. Moving on the agenda, does any board member want any items removed from the consent agenda?
I have none.
Seeing none, I'd ask Manager May to please read.
Thank you. This evening, the consent agenda starts with village board minutes. Two different sets of minutes. The first one are executive session minutes. Board to consider a motion to accept, approve, and release the following executive session minutes with exceptions as noted, and then they're listed there by date. The secondly is village board to consider a motion approving the minutes of the village board meeting held August 15, 2019. We have finance ordinance number 8 in the amount of $1,170,361.32. It's followed by purchase orders. First purchase order is Rock River Arms Incorporated, $20,015. This is replacement rifles in the police department. And the next purchase order is Surefire LLC, $27,315.80. And that's accessories and new rifles. They're called the uppers. It's a reconstruction of the equipment. Third purchase order, Path Construction Company, $15,688,400. This is the purchase order encumbering that dollar amount for the construction contract that you already approved for the Public Works facility. Next is F&M Technology Solutions, $55,648. This is for outside desktop technician services, August through, well, it says August 12th through April 30th, so I'm assuming it's backwards. Next purchase order is Copenhagen Construction, $62,172. It's the Cass Avenue resurfacing work that was already completed. Next is A-Lamp Concrete Contractors Incorporated, $389,579.64. Represents both the construction services for the CBD alley reconstruction, our Section E, and as well as some of the work that you saw at the Richmond Education Gardens with respect to the pervious paver work. Next purchase order is Twin Supplies, $36,814.50. It's for the high-efficiency lighting installation at the police department. The total of those purchase orders is $16,279,944.94. When you total that with finance ordinance number 8, the aggregate amount is $17,450,306.26. And that completes the consent
Do
agenda.
I have a motion to approve as read?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second, Little?
Motion made in second. On the question. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to new business. The appointment of attorney for DUI prosecution. Board to consider ordinance approving the mayor's appointment of attorney Michael McMahon as special counsel to the village for DUI prosecutions. And I'd ask Chief Gunther to come up to the podium to give some more information on this.
Thank you, Mayor. As we discussed at 2 previous Public Safety Committee meetings, we are moving toward prosecuting DUIs at the local level and taking it out of the state's attorney's hands. By unanimous consent of the board, we selected Attorney Michael McMahon to represent the village for the prosecutions. So this will be for misdemeanor DUI prosecutions. The felony cases will still be handled by the state's attorney's office.
Any questions? Seeing none, I'd need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion made in second to approve. On the question.
Just that the ordinance authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with the attorney for his services, and we're currently just doing a few modifications. So once modified in final form, the mayor can sign off on it.
Chief, what represents a misdemeanor DUI versus a felony DUI?
A number of factors, driving history, usually your first and second DUIs are misdemeanors. The third one are usually felonies, but, depending on the circumstances. A first-time DUI involved in an accident, which there'd be an injury involved, could bump you up to a felony immediately. So really, it's fact-specific to the situation. But, your first and second-time offenders are probably usually going to be in the misdemeanor court.
Any other questions?
Just a quick one. Chief, does he take on the existing cases, or does the state's attorney finish those and he starts just with new ones?
He'll start with new ones. The ones that are already in process are already been assigned
They stay.
the attorney, and there's parameters by statute on how quickly you must move a case through the system, the speedy trial doctrine of the Constitution. So, yeah, they're already in process, so it'll be all new cases once the agreement's executed by the attorneys.
Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business B, 509 North Warwick Avenue, the final subdivision plat. Board to consider an ordinance approving a final plat of subdivision for property located in the R3 Single Family Detached Resident District to subdivide one lot into 2 lots. Director Sylvester.
Trustees and Mayor, this is a pretty straightforward lot split. It's taking one large lot and dividing it into 2. The preliminary plat and a variance was approved a year ago, and the property owners have 1 year to finish the engineering that's necessary and the stormwater management designing that's necessary so that a final plat can be prepared. They've done that, we've reviewed it, and so the final plat is now ready to be approved, after which it can be recorded, and then those 2 lots become legal lots of record, and the owners can then proceed with building permits.
Do I have a motion to approve?
This is where the yellow.
So moved, Barry.
Second, Addington.
Motion been made in second. On the question, Trustee Addington.
Is this that house that it was, the yellow house that was polka dots because they haven't been painted in a long time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know that there was some questions about that subdivision, I think, at planning and zoning, because there is standing water in the back of that property. So I'm assuming that some of that's going to be covered with
Yeah, the property owners are being required to dedicate a substantial portion of the rear yards for stormwater detention.
Yeah. So that's gonna help that whole neighborhood over there. Yeah, okay. That's great.
Any other questions? Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, I'd ask for roll call.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to C, 15 South Cass, the sweet and savory spot. Board to consider an ordinance approving a downtown development grant request in the amount of $4,785 to subsidize certain improvements at 15 South Cass Avenue in the B1 Downtown Limited Business District. Director Sylvester.
So about a year ago, the owner of Sweet and Savory Spot, who's with us here tonight, worked with community development staff to apply for a grant and was explained what the parameters were and what types of work would be eligible to be reimbursed. The owner did some of that work on both the exterior and the interior, and based on the rules of that grant, needed to wait a year to show that they were a viable business and could be open for a year before they could request reimbursement. So the year has passed, and they're now requesting reimbursement. The business owner who's requesting this grant to reimburse her for some of those costs asked if she should be here tonight. I told her it's not required, but I said it might be advisable, and if any of you want to have specific questions of her about the work she did, she is here.
Danielle, you want to come up and add to that?
Again. So I waited the year, and as many of you know, with that location, there were just some things that we had to improve that going into it, even at my second time, I wasn't really prepared for. One of them was a structure that was part of the building that we either had to rip out ourselves or refurbish. So I went ahead and refurbished it, and it ended up working out for us. So as I said, when I met with is it Director Bruce? Well, I know your name, but I want to be formal. I just said we're grateful for just submitting anything, and we waited the year, and then I kind of just, I feel bad going back and forth with him, and I didn't want to be a pain with this, but we're just grateful for the opportunity, and we submitted some things, and at the end of the day, anything that is approved, we are just grateful for. And that's, I wanted to come here earlier today, but we were slammed, so I rushed over here, so I didn't want to miss my spot to just say thank you.
Good. Do I have a motion?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second, Barry.
Motion made and second to approve. On the question.
Couple cinnamon rolls would have
Yeah.
helped,
Well, there you go, yeah, all right.
Mr. Mayor, I think with the change to the year, this is exactly the kind of business that we want to help, and I think this is exactly how we want to use those grants. So the money, this is fantastic.
This is good spent, yeah.
And Spencer, in that grant program, do you know how much is left for this fiscal year?
So my understanding is this is the first one we've approved this fiscal year. Is that accurate, Bruce?
Yes.
So I think we have balances at 30,000 between the two.
But there's substantial.
Yeah, significantly more.
Okay,
More people should apply and be improving businesses.
good.
Absolutely.
Any other comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
yes.
Motion passes. New business D, 6200 South Cass Avenue, Market Center Final Subdivision Plat. Board to consider an ordinance approving a final plat of subdivision for an improved 11.6 acre planned development in the underlying C1 district to allow for the development of a 47,000 foot LA Fitness, a 30,000 square foot commercial building, 4 outlots, and related improvements. Director Sylvester.
So this is the Market Center development down at 63rd and Cass. A year ago, the village approved the planned development for this redevelopment project, and a component of that is the plat, which creates the new lot lines. The preliminary plat was approved, And as with the previous item on the agenda tonight, developer needs to do some work on some engineering and some stormwater management items. That work's been completed, and they're now ready to have the final plat approved so that they can record it. The Community Development Department is particularly eager to see this plat approved so that it can be recorded, because we've issued 2 building permits already, one for LA Fitness and one for Raising Cane. Ideally, going forward, plats would be recorded before we're issuing permits. That's just a better practice, but in this instance, that didn't happen, so we're eager to have it recorded. One final comment, just looking forward, the developers have already told us that they are anticipating making some changes to some lot lines within the development to accommodate their current plans for some tenants. So I do expect in the next few months they'll come back with what's called a plat of re-subdivision, so that they can put those lot lines exactly where they need to be. But I have told them that in the meantime, because we don't know if that'll take a month or 6 months, we do need the current version of the plat recorded, just to keep things tidy with those buildings that are already under construction.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Barker.
Motion made and second to approve. On the question. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo? Oh, never mind. And Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business E, 6495 South Cass Avenue, Oxford Bank Special Use Permit. Board to consider an ordinance approving the following request from Oxford Bank to operate an existing banking facility with accessory drive-in lanes and a bank ATM. 1, a special use permit, and 2, a landscape plan. And I asked Director Sylvester to give us more information.
So very briefly, this is an existing business. It's been in operation for a while. Doing some title work for their own property. They asked for a zoning letter of verification. Our staff did some research and found out that this type of a use, any use with the drive-through, needs a special use permit. But during a review of our records, we could find no indication or proof that they had ever received that special use permit. So merely as a matter of tying up loose ends and crossing Ts and dotting Is, we informed the business that they should apply for that special use permit. They did, and the Plan Commission considered it and recommended approval. So it's literally just doing a little bit of cleanup.
Do I have a motion?
Second, Nero.
Motion been made and second to approve. On the question. Anybody? Seeing none, roll call, please.
I'm not sure who made the first, Trustee Addington. Okay, Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. I'm going to move the item H up and do it now because it pertains to this past subject. It's a text amendment for special use permits. Board to consider an ordinance approving a proposed zoning ordinance text amendment to the Village of Westmont Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, zoning to include 1, Article 13, Section 13.09, special uses to allow a special use to run with the land for the property and use for which it is granted. Director Sylvester.
So this recommendation from staff arose from the Oxford Bank special use permit that we just discussed. And the ordinances in Westmont, as they're currently written, say that if the village issues a special use permit for LaSalle Bank, and LaSalle Bank moves out of a building and Oxford Bank moves in, Oxford Bank has to go through the process and have a public hearing and notify neighbors for the special use permit for the drive-through facilities that were previously approved for the LaSalle Bank in this example. And it's my opinion and my experience in some other communities that in that type of a situation, the special use permit could, and I'm recommending should, run with the land. So if a similar use that's a different business moves into a facility and continues to operate substantially the same special use, they shouldn't have to go through the process to reapply for that. So if a Wendy's moves out of a building and a McDonald's moves in, the McDonald's wouldn't have to go through the process. So that's the gist of what's being recommended. Two other items just to point out. Currently it says, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, once the village board approves a special use, there's a very short timeline before it expires, and we're recommending that that length of time be increased to give businesses time if they're going to remodel the interior of a space, or especially in the case of new construction. If it's a special use permit for a restaurant with drive-through facilities, it might take them 12 or 18 months to construct that. So we're recommending more time be allowed before it would expire for a lack of activity.
And one other comment?
Yes.
And importantly, although a special use, once approved, runs with the land and can be used by successive businesses to the same type, if the use ceases for a consecutive period of 365 days, then the special use approval terminates. And that's in the current language, although it says 90 days, now it's extended to 365 days. That's important to have in there because we had situations in the past with Crazy Nichols, you may recall, or some used auto dealers that had special uses from the 80s. They had ceased operations in the 80s, but because the special use ran with the land, any subsequent business of the same type could just open up again that same use, and it may no longer be appropriate at that location. So we do have the termination provision that's still in here.
Good.
If I understand, then what you're saying is, let's use the closed-up bank facility down by 62nd Street. That's now been closed for, what, almost 3 years. So even though they had a drive-up area, that's gone now.
Correct.
Any new user, even if it was another bank, is gonna have to come back and apply for the special use.
Correct.
Okay. I think that's a good way to do it.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion been made and second to approve this presented. On the question, anybody from the bank want to say anything?
Thank you.
Well, we haven't voted yet.
We love being in Westmont.
Good bank.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, on the agenda were 2 items under this category, 1 and 2. You're only voting on item 2, which is amending section 13.09 of the zoning ordinance. Item number 1, which dealt with banks and drive-through facilities, is another text amendment that we will likely take up at a later date.
Thank you. I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move back to new business F, construction material testing services for the new Public Works facility. Board to consider an ordinance authorizing a material testing service agreement with Seco Construction Services Incorporated for construction material testing and inspection services for the new Public Works facility located at 55 East Burlington Avenue. Director Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. The construction material testing services will include foundation excavation inspection, soil testing, cast in place, steel and well, and masonry and pavement inspections. The proposal from Seco for all the work listed above is the amount of $51,488. Staff recommends approval.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Barry.
Second, Little?
Motion made and seconded to approve. On the question. Seeing nobody, I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business G. Third Amendment to Singular License Agreement. Board to consider ordinance approving the Third Amendment to Site License Agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for cellular antenna, having a hard time, facilities. Attorney Zemanek.
Thank you, Mayor. Singular Wireless, which is AT&T, currently has a license agreement with the village to have cell towers on the water tower on Wilmette. The They've got a number of 5-year options. The current 5-year option expires in year 2021. They wanted to renegotiate a few provisions of their license agreement with the village to extend the term for up to 30 more years and renegotiate some of the rates. And also want the right within their defined space on the tower to change out equipment or add new equipment, et cetera, without having to renegotiate the price every time, as long as they are within their defined space. This was reviewed by Glenn Liljeburg initially, who felt that it was reasonable, and he noted that industry-wide prices that municipalities and others can charge for cellular antennas on their like water towers and other towers has been going down. When those were initially negotiated with the boom of the cell industry, there was a premium that was paid by those companies, and now the market is somewhat adjusted. So it's still a very good price and only a slight reduction over what was in the license agreement originally. It's I think a $50,660 payment, which is going to be held at that rate through year 2026, and then there are 2% increases thereafter.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion been made and second to approve. On the question. Anybody? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on, miscellaneous. Does anybody have anything to add? Any staff? Seeing none, I'd have to ask the board for an executive session to adjourn to executive session to discuss the following: the purchase of property for the use of the village pursuant to Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act.
Motion to adjourn executive session for said reasons. Nero?
Second, Little?
Motion made in second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
We will be adjourning into executive session. When we come out, there'll be no further business. So I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you.
You can still see a lot of the car show.
Get out there.
Mayor, I think the era is officially over. Time to quit.